I want to tell you why I'm making this playlist. Obviously, the first reason with everything I do is because I enjoy it. I try not to do anything for what it might bring me, but only for enjoying the process. And that is the main reason I'm doing this, because I really have had a lot of fun teaching myself all this new stuff about large language models. But also there are other reasons, two main ones really, um, because these ChatGPT and other large language models are really changing the world in significant ways very quickly. First of all, they're creating mass unemployment. It's only just begun, and I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg. But also, they're damaging the environment. So let's have a think about these two reasons for you watching this playlist. Um, the first thing I want to say about job market changes is that the International Monetary Fund has already estimated that 60%, more than half the jobs in the world, are affected in some way by AI. And that's especially true for university graduates, the white collar workers of the future. There's huge productivity gains as well from using large language models efficiently. If you use them well, uh, the productivity can be increased so much. Another study that I looked at, not just the IMF, but the Boston Consulting Group, they looked at their workers using GPT-4 and reported that they completed 12% more tasks, 25% faster, with almost 50% better quality of the result. I don't know how they measured quality, but I do know that for myself, I'm producing things I couldn't have dreamed of a year ago. Literally, it's been less than a year. It was October 2024 when the UK stopped suppressing the use of things like ChatGPT in the UK, and suddenly it all exploded. It's incredibly quickly that I learn things now and produce things to a much higher standard. I'm just amazed. So that's what I want to share, is how I do this in this playlist. Um, Hundreds of millions of university graduate jobs will soon be fully automated. Goldman Sachs said 300 million of jobs in finance in the city sector will be fully automated. So why go to university at all? Uh, the reason is that you need to learn to use these large language models. It's a tool. It's a bit like an instrument, like a piano or a camera or something like that. I mean, just because you own a lovely piano like a grand Steinway, it doesn't make you a pianist. You've got to learn to play it properly. You can't just suddenly buy a piano and play Beethoven's Emperor's Concerto. You need to learn to use the instrument properly. Same applies to I don't know, Canon EOS R5 or something like that. You can't just buy it and think you're going to take wonderful photographs and make videos. You need to learn to use these tools. So universities are really quickly starting to integrate AI into their courses so that students are taught to use AI during the process of learning financial risk management or blockchains and crypto assets. At the same time, they're learning to use these tools effectively. And that means they stand a chance in the white collar job market. Otherwise, why go to university? You might as well just take an apprenticeship in plumbing as soon as you leave school, to be honest. But the thing is that large language models, they don't sleep, they don't need paying, but they don't think for you. They really haven't, they're not intelligent, even though it's called artificial intelligence. They just process an awful lot of data. So you can gain an edge by knowing how to drive these models to get the optimal performance from them if you watch this playlist. The second reason I want to make this playlist, or have made most of it already, is that most people use these models badly. They just fire off a very short, vague prompt, and then they get back very long, generic outputs, throw most of it away, and then they do it again. This is what we call very token heavy. The usage is measured in something called tokens, which I'll explain in the first lecture of this playlist. Anyway, it's a waste of human time, and it's also a waste of our planet's resources. Because people are not using these large language models properly, there's a massive water consumption, because even though only a quarter of the water demands are used for actually cooling these data centers, the rest is for waters needed to produce electricity, which they need to run. But just for cooling, they use 600 billion litres of water a year. And by 2030, you can at least double that amount. Energy demands, of course, are huge. The data centers use almost 50% more electricity than the entire UK or the whole of Italy. It's already the 10th largest energy consumer in the world, and by 2030, it could even be the largest. As a result, in the USA in particular, energy prices are already rising. And with the use of energy comes emissions. Global data centers now emit more CO2 than the entire aviation industry. By 2030, their carbon footprint could be larger than India's, which already is the third largest emitter after China and the US. So using large language models well, it's not just smart for your career, it's also part of being a responsible citizen. So this playlist is designed for no coders. It's a new term that's necessary because when I've been learning this stuff, almost all the good material out there is actually designed for coders that are integrating these models into their company's systems. And I'm not a coder. I haven't coded since my 20s. So I am specifically aiming this at people like me that have got a good technical knowledge, but don't want to code. The playlist is divided into topics. Each topic has a lecture, like the first one, Introduction to Prompt and Context Engineering. Then there's another lecture all about Claude. And there's another one about context engineering with ChatGPT. And these are all done. So each lecture is divided into 4 short videos, 4 parts of about 20 minutes on average. And they'll already give you most of what you need for what a no-coder needs to know to survive AI. But I'm planning to upload new videos soon, including a no-coder's guide to AI agents and surveys of other models like NotebookLM, Gemini, Perplexity, Grok, and so forth. And of course, the context that I'm talking about is drawn from my own knowledge and experience in education. And in particular, in terms of subject matter, it focuses on financial markets and on blockchains, crypto, that sort of thing. But the stuff I'm producing is relevant for anyone, not only people that are in threatened professions like law or data analysis, but to anyone who's interested in helping to tackle the environmental challenges raised by the widespread use of AI. So I hope you like the playlist and don't forget to subscribe.